Hey guys, how's it going? This is Dilmer again and welcome back to my channel. So I'm pretty excited today because I'm going to be talking about if I should be generating a level manually or should I generate levels dynamically. And the reason why I want to talk about that topic today is because I'm actually going through that right now. I've been talking to, and many of you know that I'm working on a new game. And in that new game, we're basically debating whether we should be, manually crafting a level within the game engine editor, where we're going to be placing basically every object manually and then moving them around, and then basically creating a strategy around how each level is going to look like, what mechanics are going to be incorporated in each level, and then I'm going to have to do that for every single one of the levels, and I want to have at least 70 levels in this game. So the discussion that we're having right now is should we do that all manually? Should we go into the engine and the editor and do that for every single one of the 70 levels? And to be honest, that's not gonna work really well. And the reason why I don't think it'll work really well if we do it manually is because I actually had a really bad experiences, and not only one, but I had many bad experiences in the past where I was manually creating levels, and that was actually with Stickman World, where I went through and created about 45 levels, and they were all manually crafted. They look great, but it was a lot of work. It was a lot of work when I had to go in and move every single pixel. If I made a change to, let's say, a light or something in a building or the character itself, I did have prefabs, which is basically an object that is pre-configured in the game engine of Unity, which is the one that I use. And if you make one change on basically on a prefab, it changes basically across all the levels. That helps, but at the same time, I still needed to move and organize some of the, basically how the level was going to look like. And if I made a bad change in one of the levels, then I had to make the change on every single one of the other levels. And you might realize that by moving things manually, you're not going to get that perfect look. And we're not looking for perfection, but at the same time, we're looking for something to look good and to represent what you're creating. So the discussion is, should we be creating an algorithm that is actually going to be, generating all the levels for us? And that's what I'm trying to push to my team right now. We're working on, on the other games that I did before. They were a little simpler than the one that I'm creating right now. The one that I'm working on right now, it's a little bit more complex when it comes to, generating buildings, generating offices, generating things that are going to be dynamic, and we have an algorithm that is very close to representing what we want, and that's the thing that I'm going to try to push and that we complete is finishing something that is going to generate levels dynamically, because I think at the long term, when it comes to generating more levels, generating fun levels, if you generate levels that are easy to create, that are basically, it has the same construct, it has the same set of tools to generate them, and you're not doing things manually, that helps a lot in the workflow. And in my experience, when I do that, I can actually generate levels much faster. Not meaning that I want to generate a large quantity and just get that game out with a large quantity of levels. What it allows me to do is generate levels fast so that I can test it, so that I can incorporate new mechanics. So if you optimize the time that it takes you to generate a level and the time that it takes you to test a level, you're going to be creating better levels and actually better games, because that workflow allows you to introduce things much quicker than it would otherwise. So if you're thinking about what you should do, if you're creating a more complicated game, if you're creating a world and the levels are more complex, in those cases you might opt in for doing some things manually. You might still be able to do a lot of things dynamically and have a structure in the game that allows you to create levels much quicker. And at the same time, the thing that I'm doing right now is, okay, I have about 4 to 5 levels created, they're crafted, they were manually created. So what we're doing is we're creating the algorithm on the side and trying to generate those levels through a structure. And you might ask me, okay, Dylan, what is a structure? So by a structure, I mean data representation of what your level is. So when I work on QBX2, my structure was in JSON. So I had an object in JSON that represented basically what the sky was going to be, what the environment was going to look like, what kind of music I had in that level, and basically a grid, a matrix that represented what each component in the game was going to be. So I had a different data structure with legend, and then basically any element in the grid was going to be generated. It will generate a different game object. So that's what I'm going to be doing in this new algorithm that we're working on. It's basically creating a base structure, which is it might be a room in a building, and then that will represent some kind of an item in a grid. And then if you expand that grid, then basically we have multiple rooms, and then we can randomize it. We can actually say, okay, I want one room to have a window, I have another room that has two windows, and then you can randomize the creation. Of course, you have to have multiple checks in there to make sure that you don't have a window that is inside the house and the rotation is properly, but you get the idea about what we're trying to create here. So that's basically what I wanted to talk about in this video. I'm going to be talking about more of these as we get more through development, and we can create more of the algorithm, and we have more to show. So if you guys have any questions about anything that I just mentioned, let me know through the comments. Don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to share this video. Thank you guys.